Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Homestead Knitting Podcast. My name is Danielle, and I am the maker and designer behind Homestead Knitting. And this is my channel where I talk about my yarn, my knitting, crochet related goodness. So thanks for tuning in. So it's been about 2.5 weeks since I've sat down to podcast since the last time, and a lot has been going on. The weather's been super weird where I live in Canada here. We've gone from -40 to +2 today, so my chickens are outside, they're having a great time. I've been having a great time being able to feel like I can go outside again and not freeze. I've actually done, I'd say like not a huge amount of knitting and crocheting, but I've gotten some progress done. I've even got some new yarns to show off. I don't have plans for a lot of them because 4 out of the 6 new yarns I have were gifted to me. And I'm not sure if I've talked about this before, but I am just trying my best to use what I have in my yarn stash, because I feel like as like a knitter and crocheter and just people part of the fiber community, there's this huge disconnect between the yarns we have and just buying more yarn, and then we tend to hoard or just collect large amounts of yarn, but then we don't always use what we have in our stash, so usually we end up with these massive yarn stashes that we never end up using up in our lifetime. And I feel like it's kind of wasteful for me to do that, because I do have a lot of lovely yarns that I love, and I do want to get around to working with them and being able to use them and just enjoy what I already have. So I'm definitely trying to just avoid buying yarn unless it's for a project, or somebody has special requested something, or I really just need like a cohesive theme for a project, so I do have to buy yarn so everything matches. So I'm just trying to eliminate yarn that I have in my stash. I guess if you ever do want to see what's in my yarn stash, I feel like I have a lot of kind of interesting yarns in here, because quite a few of them were actually gifted to me by my grandma. So a lot of them I don't even know the fiber content, I just have a small amount of them, and I do want to do some sort of like a scrappy sweater maybe, or a cardigan or something, using a lot of those special yarns, and just being able to really enjoy them. Alright, so enough about that. Let's start talking about the new yarn I got. So this one my boyfriend picked out, and I will be making another hat for him in the same pattern I used for Christmas. The pattern I used for Christmas, it's not the 1988 or the 1898 hat, but it was the same construction method in that. It was just graded for more sizes. So if you don't know the hat I'm talking about, it has garter stitch. Let's try again. So you have a garter stitch headband that you make with ear flaps, like ear shaping for the ears, and then at the end you will seam up the headband, and then along the top side there, like the straight side, you'll pick up stitches and you'll knit a crown for the hat. And I just went with a pattern that was based off of the 1898 hat, I think it's called. I will link it down below in the description box in case you're wondering and you want to check out this hat yourself. I just picked a pattern that was based off of it with more sizes, because my boyfriend's head was too large for the sizes included in the first pattern. So this yarn I have here is by Loops and Threads, and it's Impeccable Speckle. It's 100% acrylic, and how many yards do you get per ball? 160 yards per ball, and I have the color Purple Bark. So I think my boyfriend thought this was a blue color, and he really liked it, but I don't really care what color he sees it as long as he likes it. So yeah, I picked this up for my boyfriend, and this should be just enough to make one hat for him. So his birthday is coming up in March, so I will be making him one hat. He also picked out this one, which is Joy DK by Loops and Threads, and you get 273 yards per ball. And this one's a light 3-weight yarn, and it's 100% anti-pilling acrylic. So both of these yarns here are actually new to me. This one here, the Purple Bark, is a light number 4 weight to me, and this one's a light number 3 weight. and the colorway I have is charcoal. So both of these are Knit Me yarns, so I'm not sure how they're going to perform when knit up. So yeah, I'm actually really excited to try them out. I've looked at this yarn many times, I just never picked it up because typically for any projects I've needed DK yarn for, I would need a lot of balls of the yarn, and I just couldn't justify spending, where I live sometimes it's almost $10 for this one ball, and I was like, well, it's just acrylic, that's kind of expensive. However, I do love acrylic yarn for the ease of just being able to throw it in the washer and the dryer, because I really don't have time to hand wash a lot of things. I just don't have the time or the patience to do it right now. That's why there's also very few things I knit out of natural fibers. Acrylic makes my life very easy, just throwing it in the washer and the dryer. Alright, the next yarns were gifted to me for Christmas. I have Brunette Premium, and this is 100% acrylic yarn. This is the colorway Pine, and you get 360 yards per ball, and this one's a number 4 worsted weight yarn. So it says it's the colorway Pine, however to me it's like a soft sage, and it's actually really beautiful, but I have no plans for this yarn yet. I'm not really sure what I'm going to make with it. I probably wouldn't have picked this color out myself, but I actually think it's really beautiful, and I'm thinking maybe I need more green yarn in my life. I don't know why I don't pick more green yarn. I also received Brunette Premium in the colorway Dark Gray Heather, and this gray is very nice. It's a little bit darker than I probably would have chosen for myself, but I think it's really nice. Now I'm thinking about like gray sweaters and just how lovely that would be. I don't know if I'd make a gray sweater out of like 100% acrylic yarn, but I think I would actually enjoy one in a cotton blend. So yeah, there's this one. And then I have a new to me yarn again. This is Brunette Premium Tweed, so you get 360 yards per ball. It's a number 4 worsted weight yarn. You get 97% acrylic, 3% viscose, and it's black tweed. So my only complaint about this yarn, I think it's really pretty, but because it's acrylic yarn, the viscose and the acrylic cannot blend together properly, so I feel like a lot of the little flecks can easily be pulled off of the yarn, and I feel like it kind of defeats the purpose of buying the tweed yarn. If I were to purchase tweed yarn for myself in the future, I would definitely go for probably a wool blend of some kind, just because the tweed will be able to bond to something. The little viscose pieces will bond to the wool, but it cannot bond to the acrylic. It is a pretty yarn overall. I'm kind of mystified about why we make acrylic yarn in tweed, because I feel like it defeats the purpose of having tweed yarn if the little flecks just fall out. Anyways, I also received Brunette Premium Tweeds in the colorway Aran Tweed, and I've already started working with this. I got inspiration just seeing it in the ball right away, and I just, for whatever reason, I was like, I gotta make a bunny. Like, I have to make a bunny or a little bear or something, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I grabbed out my yarn ball winder and I wound up this yarn right away. So I am making a bunny, and this will be my first ever amigurumi or like stuffed animal knitted or crocheted toy in general. For this project I'm using a 6mm hook, and I'm holding the yarn double. So here's what I have so far. You can see they have this little like tweed piece that's sticking out, so I'm just gonna put them back in there. Anyways, I have two stumpy little short little legs, a nice round little body, and it has a head. The head is actually ready for safety eyes. I don't have any currently, so I do have a set on order, and once that comes in I'll pop the safety eyes in, finish crocheting up the head, and then I will stuff it. And I did go ahead while I'm waiting for my safety eyes to come in, and I already made the other pieces for the body. So I have the body here, and I'm holding the yarn double. I made a little tiny little tail, and I also have two tiny little arms here. So I think it's gonna be pretty cute. These tiny little arms. I don't know where I'm gonna place them yet. I have not decided. Or if I should place them like this. Yeah. I think like this is cute. Anyways, I am following a tutorial for this little bunny. The tutorial I am following is here on YouTube. This is the Little Bunny Pattern by Rose and Lily Amigurumi, I think their channel is called. They do have some other amigurumis, and they're actually quite cute. The only difference is, oh, sorry, my nose was itchy. So the only difference is between their pattern and mine. I think they used a slightly smaller hook than me, but they were using plush yarn, like the velvet yarn, like a plush one. So I just decided to hold my worsted weight yarn double to make it a bulky weight yarn, and it's actually worked out pretty well, and I think it's actually turning out really cute. So I don't really overly love the velvet yarns that much. I have a harder time keeping tension and just keeping them looking nice when I crochet with them. And I've also had issues with after washing washing whatever I've made with it, it just doesn't look very good after. So I'm actually tend to avoid velvet yarns and the blanket yarns. I'm not that big of a fan of anymore. However, I really love the way this looks with the worsted weight held double, and I'm actually planning on making some more little stuffies or little toys. This house so far was actually a really quick, like, one-day project for me. So I do want to make some more just for doing something different and just kind of expanding, I guess, like expanding for what I crochet and I would knit. And the reason why I actually got into crocheting was because I would see those little amigurumis all the time on Pinterest everywhere, and I would just adore them. I thought they were the cutest things, and I wanted to make it so bad, but I couldn't crochet. And I tried, and I wasn't very good. So then I kind of put it down, and then I think about 3-4 years ago, I kind of got more serious about my crocheting. Probably like 4 years ago, I think I got more serious about it. And I started taking it more serious, and then finally I got around to being able to learn, like, have the time to sit down and learn to knit and just take it more serious. And that's actually how I got into it. So yeah, I'm feeling really accomplished as a crocheter to finally make my first ever amigurumi or little, like, stuffy or toy. If you know of anyone who makes patterns for stuffies or toys, whether it's knitted or crocheted, I would love to hear who makes them, because it's kind of more of like a niche group for me. I don't follow a lot of people or know of a lot of people who make patterns for those types of things. I do want to find more people who make them, because I do want to make some more and just kind of look into different patterns, different styles, different things you can make. So yeah, that is going. The next thing, I actually have finally sat down and added 2 squares onto my little scrap blanket. Oops. So last time I just had the original 4 squares here, so I've added on this marled pink here, and I've added on this solid purple. In case you're wondering, the 2 purples are not the same. So this original purple square is purple and like pink marled. It's just harder to tell from far away. And this one is like a solid magenta-y purple. So I've added on 2 squares, and I feel like it's looking a little bit more like a blanket. So I'm going to go through my stash and see if I have any more sock weight fingering scraps, because I made this out of sock weight fingering yarn. I take about 5 grams per square for me to knit. And I'm also knitting mine on 4mm needles. And they're a really quick knit and just so enjoyable, and just, oh, it's been so nice just to sit down and knit this and just not really have to pay too much attention to anything and just feel like, yeah, this is going good. So on to my next project. So since the last time I sat down a podcast, I have finished off section 3 of my slips. Oops. I'm all caught in my yarn. But my Slip Stravaganza blanket by Stephen West. So section 1 was my garter stitch center here. Section 2 is my honeycombs. I finally finished knitting, and then I messed up. I made a mistake, and I'm deeply regretting said mistake. So for section 3, you have to increase, but you don't increase evenly, so you have to count your stitches. So you will increase 1 stitch, then you count, I don't know, like 4 stitches, then you increase again, then I think you count like 6 or 8 or something like that. Anyways, I messed up, and I am short stitches. I think I have 460 something, and I need 480 stitches on my needle right now. So I have to frog. I'm gonna tink back. For those of you who do not know what tinking means, it means one at a time. I will be undoing 1 stitch, just so I don't have to frog it. So I'm going to go back 1 stitch at a time and unknit the stitch. So obviously when you have over 400 stitches and you have to tink back, I've put it in the naughty corner, and I have not picked it up yet. In case you're wondering, for this project I'm knitting it on 5.5mm needles, and I'm using Wool of the Andes and Sport Bait. You can pick this up at Knit Picks or Crochet, and this one is 100% wool. I don't remember what kind of wool it is, but it's 100% wool. And the colorways I'm using. So for my main color here, I have Oyster Heather. My next contrast color 1 here, I have Pumpkin. Contrast color number 2, I have Hollyberry. Contrast color number 3, I have Chestnut. Also, I made a mistake when I was knitting the second set of honeycombs here, and a few of them are slightly off-centered, and same with obviously the orange row, but I was not bothered by it. I was like, you know what, I made a mistake and I'm okay with leaving it in. I'm not bothered by it. I'm not gonna rip it out. I will pretend that mistake's not there, because I'm not gonna notice when I'm curled up with it. I'll be doing other things. So yeah, I also have to sit down and wind some more yarn for this blanket, because I have very little amounts of yarn left for my main color and contrast color number 1 and 2. And I have actually been taking pretty meticulous notes on the project, so I've been weighing all of my yarn before I start section 1 and section 2 to see how much yarn I have, and then at the end of section 1 I weighed my main color of yarn to see how much yarn I used. At the end of section 2 I weighed all my yarn to see how much yarn I used. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to take notes for myself on how much yarn each section of the blanket uses, because I think it'd be really fun to reknit this pattern in scrap weight, not scrap weight yarn, but in scrap yarn that I have. I would just take it like 1 step at a time, like how much yarn do I need for section 1, how much do I need for section 2, and just kind of go from there. And I'm really enjoying this pattern. It's really well written. There's lots of great tutorials on YouTube for it. Stephen West actually does a tutorial on how to do everything in the pattern that's needed. Pretty like basic stitches, like just how to increase, how to slip stitch, knit, purl, nothing crazy for the blanket, just a lot of stitches. And it also comes in 2 sizes, so I think it'd be really fun to keep track of how much yarn you need, because then you could easily make a scrap blanket just out of yarn you already have in your stash. If you're someone like me and you want to scrap bust, or stash bust I guess, it'd be really fun to make the blanket in like the larger size and not have to worry about purchasing all the yarn at once for the blanket, because it can get really expensive to have to buy all that yarn at once. So I'm definitely planning on knitting this pattern again, and I think it's so well written and just so lovely, and there's so many pieces of the pattern that you can take and modify it to fit other patterns as well, so I think that's really exciting. And I love this little honeycomb technique with the slip stitches, and I'm really thinking about actually taking it and putting it on sweaters or other blankets and those sorts of things, so I'm really happy with how the pattern's been turning out. And the last project I've been working on is my crocheted sweater, and I'm using a 4-weight hook for this. And the yarn I'm using for this is in the cream color here. Is it cream? Soft cream, sorry. I'm using Snuggly Wuggly yarn by Loops and Threads, and this is a light number 3 weight, and you get 446 yards per ball. And this one's 100% acrylic. So this is what it looks like in the ball, so it's quite large, 446 yards. And the other color I'm using for my sweater is by the brand Zeman, which I think is only available in Europe maybe. I got this yarn from a mystery box from Mary Maxim, and the yarn itself is called Diana, and the colorway is just color number 95. And this yarn is 80% acrylic, 20% wool, and you got 285 meters per ball. And that's what this one looks like. It looks quite fun in the ball with all the different color changes. However, when I crocheted with it, this is what it looks like. So I think it's quite different. I think it's quite pretty. And the reason why I have not made any more progress after I split the front and the back on both sides is because I need to wind more yarn. And I, for some reason, have not been able to convince myself to just get out the ball winder and wind some more yarn. So I have a little bit of my Diana yarn here, and then I have the tiniest little amount of the Snuggly Wuggly yarn. And I was really enjoying this project, and then I ran out of the white because the white's the next color in the repeat, and I don't have enough to do any more white. And I just couldn't convince myself to pull out the yarn ball winder and wind up yarn, because I need to wind up yarn for my sweater, I need to wind up yarn for the blanket, I need to wind up yarn for my boyfriend's hat. And every time I was like, oh, I need to wind up more yarn, I was like, no, I'm not gonna get the yarn winder yet. I'm just gonna do something else. That's actually how I started the bunny, was I didn't want to wind more yarn, but I had to wind yarn for that one, so I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I do this to myself. So yeah, if you do not know what I'm talking about, this sweater here is actually a design of my own. I will be doing an X twist front on the sweater, and I will be making it long sleeved with the soft cream ribbing all the way around. However, none of that will be happening until I wind up some more yarn. So probably after I finish filming this video, I will get out the yarn ball winder, and I will sit there and I will wind yarn up for my sweater at least, and I'll probably wind up some yarn for my boyfriend's hat, and maybe I'll cast on down. So if you enjoyed this video, please give a like and a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to comment down below, and if you have any ideas for amigurumis that I might enjoy, or if you see yarn in this video that I didn't have planned for already, or if you want a tour of my yarn stash one day, anything like that, feel free to comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you want to watch this video to the end, I will be including a short little clip of my chickens enjoying the sun outside. So thanks for watching.